Yo, what's going on everyone? It's Chase. So on this week's video we will cover Bitcoin, Ethereum, some alts, maybe we'll look at some stocks briefly. We will cover, we'll reflect on some previous trades and thought processes. I had a lot of people, seem to be the most common question this week. People were asking me, how, when price was down here, how did you draw, how did you know it was going to here? And obviously we didn't hit the full target yet. I still think it's possible, but we got to give it some time and see what the market was. But most common questions this week, how the fuck did you do it? And then looking at Bitcoin, I believe it was as well. I called to here. Didn't exactly do what I thought it was going to do. I thought it was going to deviate here a little bit, and it did not. But regardless, I did call that price was going from here to here, which it did. Then I called that it was going down, which I did. And then I expected for it to go up and take out these stops, which it has not done. Could be deviating here, but I tend to believe that our next stop is this sort of area here. We can see resistance, 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 resistance. Looking to see this level flip to support. Anywhere right around here, okay? Back below here, probably troublesome. Not going to be a good look. I am expecting also that this area could potentially flip to resistance. If we look over at this chart, it's just a bit cleaner. I have it set up better. So watching for red to flip into resistance, but we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, anyway, if it's your first time here, these calls were called way before any of the price was even moving, right? Okay, so no bullshit here. We're always pretty straight to the point. You can go and check these tweets if you need to, line up all the times, whatever you got to do. No bullshit, straight to the point. All right, as usual, big shout out to Prime XBT for sponsoring these videos. I'm going to close these tweets now. No need for them anymore. Okay. So the first thing we can do is the reflection part. I'm going to make it quick. I know, this isn't to do hindsight or anything. Just a lot of people ask me, how did you know what was going to happen? And the truth was I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, right? A lot of the stuff, did I say at the end that we'll talk about, we'll talk about some trading tips, some, trading psychology stuff. We'll get into a little bit of that because I've been doing a couple posts on that recently. But I'm sort of getting into that now as well, is that I didn't know exactly what it was going to do, but what I did know was that when price was around here, I believe, I had referenced back to using Bitcoin, using, let's see where this was exactly, just so I know. This was when I drew it 13 Feb 22 at 19. Okay. 13 is probably like here. Yeah. Right around here. Okay. So I had known that ES, your S&P 500, blah, 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 ES, SPY, SPX, whatever you want to call it. I had knew that it was coming down to this previous consolidation level. We can see resistance here before the up move. This was going to be our level to hold. So I knew that we were coming down into this level. And at the same time, we went over and looked at Bitcoin. I'm going to close this chart just to keep things clean. Okay, we go over to Bitcoin, and I presume Bitcoin was somewhere in here. Yeah, there you go. So Bitcoin was right in here. And I had the idea that Bitcoin was going to flip 41.7K to support. And we were getting long off 41.7K. I posted that live on Twitter. Okay, one second. So if I think that, and this is where you start lining up things, right? Because AVAX, it wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't the most clear, easy thing to say, okay, well, look, you have a range. I'll just, clean this up just to make it easier. But you have a range low and you have a range high, okay? And pretty much any time that you came into the range, you almost fully cleared it from side to side, right? Look, range, you clear it to the other side. You almost clear it there, you come back, you clear it all the way to this side. When you come inside, we cleared it all the way to here. And then I figured, well, this doesn't really look done because we had stops all here. Stops. We didn't take any stops here, right? We didn't take these stops, didn't take these stops. So I knew that we were going to, I didn't know, but I imagined that combining the thought process from the S&P 500 support combined with the Bitcoin support idea, combined with that there's liquidity resting here that hasn't been taken, that we were going to get a move up. Now, I thought that we have a void basically in price right here. Typically these get cleared through quickly, right? And you see you have a void down here, and when you started to push back up, you did fill it fairly quickly. You know, it's a pretty quick move. So that's typically what happens. Price typically rips through these void areas. So I expected this to go into here, and this is where I was looking to short right around 102 to 105, somewhere right in here, and then looking for a lot more downside from there. But we've yet to do that. That's still on my plate, still something that I'm watching. But yeah, that's basically how I thought about that trade. Was I went from the very base, which is the S&P 500, into Bitcoin, and then I looked at ES. I said, okay, ES is at support. This is ES 1 exclamation point if you want to chart it. ES was at support, or it was coming into support. Bitcoin was at support, okay, and AVAX was left this liquidity behind, and it was also at the previous range low, okay, range low, range high, and it was also coming into this support level right here, okay. So we had previous, resistance. We were holding this level as resistance, and then we broke through. It flipped into support. You could adjust the level a tiny bit if you wanted to, but really you just use what has been most confluent, and then boom, you bounce right off it perfectly. And we ran the liquidity, so if that was it, then that was it. I suppose it's possible, but yeah, I'm still looking for a little push higher. We will see how it goes. Okay. As far as the Bitcoin idea, well, you didn't even push into resistance fully here, and typically you don't ever get one push on Bitcoin. You typically you always run the first resistance tap on liquidity, or the first, yeah. If Bitcoin has resistance here, right? Okay, there's resistance, and price comes up on Bitcoin and it doesn't touch it, you know that it's going to run it and typically tag the level. Okay, it typically plays pretty properly in that sense. So I knew this was coming back up, or again, I keep saying new, but I thought that this was coming back up, and then I was pretty confident, and maybe that's a better word, I was pretty confident that we'd be testing this level again, which we did, and then I thought we'd be going for this liquidity up here, which we've yet to do. And now, since we're consolidating below here, I'm not a huge fan of this yet. Optimally, what we get from here is we get a little retest of this area. We break down, we briefly touch this, maybe do a little, you could always look for a little bull div, right? These have been playing out less and less lately, so I've stopped talking about them a bit. But something good for, there's been a decent influx of followers on my account lately, so this is always something good to watch, right? Price comes down, you get a little lower low in the price, but RSI comes down and you put in a little low here, and then you put in a higher low. Okay, boom. So now you got a higher low on the RSI, you got lower low on the price. That's typically a fairly bullish setup if you're talking about into a major SR level. And then I'd be looking from there to finally take out this lick up here. And maybe we just never take it out. That is possible. But that's my current thought process, and I'll be sticking with that at the moment. Give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. My dog was giving me the old look to go outside. I had to go let him out. All right, so where were we? Yeah, I think I was talking about taking out this lick up here. Optimal scenario. Looking for weakness into red. Weakness could be described as, I think this becomes the tough part, right? Let's go down to the lower time frame. When we're talking weakness, we're not thinking a full-on retest, right? If you full-on retest this, is this weakness? Probably not. Typically when you get moves And if it is going to be weakness, you're probably going to get this, right? You're probably going to get deviation of some sort, like they think it's going to go higher, and then it comes back down, and that's when you look for your short rate in here, deviation, okay? But what weakness is going to look like in here, in my opinion, probably be sort of something that already occurred, which is we could see obvious SR flip right here, right? Support, 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 breakdown, right? Origin of impulse down. We could see, you know, taps this and then it heads downwards, right? So for people who don't understand, support, 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 price supports again, price breaks down through support, we get a candle close, we retest this level, and this level is what prompts us to move down. Look, you get a perfect tap again, you know, easy scalp right there. So what I'm thinking is that we either keep this as resistance, which is very possible, or if you did push up at some point, you shouldn't really go into this void, right? Anything without pushing through here. If you manage to get, now you could maybe have, you could maybe have a little like liquidity run above the range high, right? So pretend there's a little range going on here. We push back into the range. It's possible. You sweep it, and then you come back in, maybe even a second sweep, right? So be careful with your stops and whatnot. At that point, that is when I would see us moving down towards blue. Okay, but that's sort of what I would describe as weakness. Weakness is not filling this area. That should not be filled because this is the breakdown, right? This is our breakdown right here. We have breakdown 1, consolidation, breakdown, but really this was our support level. So we're on low time frame here. We could see this was our support level, right? Resistance flips to support, 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 support. So why are we going to reclaim this support level, right? If we are going to reclaim that, then in my opinion, we're bullish and we're not looking for shorts. So weakness in the red is described as that. Not filling this void, perhaps pushing above the range high, perhaps doing a double sweep, something of that nature, not filling the void. If it does fill the void completely and it rejects off 41.7, it's possible. I'll probably skip that though because you know, just retesting this doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I feel like you had, you know, action in here, you had buyers in here, you had more buyers here, you had buyers here that supported price all the way, right? So, and we know that when people want to get you know, out of a position, right? So if you bought in here and you want to get out, you're going to get out fairly close. Like if the price is here, you're not going to say, "Oh, I need an extra $100 to break even." When if you're 95% of the way there, people are going to take that. They're going to take that close. They're going to get out of their position. So that's how I see it. You don't fill this completely. Maybe you do a little sweep something, and old buyers want to get out, and your shorters are anxious to get in as well. So if it's a full-on reclaim of the level, probably bullish once again and not bearish. Okay. The red zone is definitely more of a, you know, as you go, right? I can't say that you should definitely blind short it or anything of that nature, as I can with blue. In my opinion, I'm going to be just, you know, blind bids in blue area. If blue doesn't hold, in my opinion, we got some trouble, right? Just delete the blue, right? Just to give you guys a look at price action, right? Delete the blue, and we can see breakdown, breakdown, resistance, resistance, resistance all in here, rejection. This area should flip to support, and if it does not, then in my opinion, we're back inside this area right here. Quick scan with my eyes. I guess something like this looks clean. Yeah, so this is sort of like price deviation right here, sort of support. It's a little wonky, right, but it's close enough. But my point is, if you get back down below here, then you're most likely, why am I not getting my thing? You're most likely going back down to here, just how we talked about in AVAX, how it has been clearing from side to side. it's that type of thing. You're most likely going to clear it all the way down, clear it all the way up, clear it all the way up, clear it all the way down, all the way up. If you come back into here, unless it's just a very brief, one of those, if you've been around for a while, you know what I'm talking about. That's another question I get. People are always asking me, where does the gut feel come from? It's just hours and hours and hours and years, really, of looking at the chart. So if you get one of those little, deviation grinding if it's grinding for too long and it's not breaking down, it's a fake out and it's coming back up. But outside of that, if it breaks down and it just does a little tap or something and it starts breaking down more, it's probably over and we're probably headed back down towards here. All right, so I'm going a little more in-depth than we usually do. Hopefully helpful for some people. It's definitely, I try to cater these videos to what I hear throughout the week. And I think a big thing this week was just, people just saying, how, not, and trust me, I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal here or anything, but people are saying, how do you know exactly what level? How do you know that it's going from here to here? And hopefully this is helping that a bit. Okay. AVAX, we can close this chart. We don't need this anymore. ETH, I don't really have too much to say about ETH. I still ultimately, I don't know if it's that I believe or that I want. I haven't figured it out yet, whether I believe or that I want. I want ETH to retest 35 area, so I could sell some more. It's really that simple. All the way into 36 would be nice. That would be a pretty perfect, short in my opinion. You have your previous resistance flipped into support. Look at all these taps. Very confluent. You have this liquidity above here, those highs. We watch for a push into here. If this is potentially bullish and it keeps pushing, you just, you play it with caution. I would just be selling some spot probably at this point, a little bit extra. For those who know me, they know I'm pretty heavy out of spot anyway. All during the bull run, it was my pin post for a while. Anywhere from 3.8K to 6, 7, 8K. I was selling all in there. It comes up, taps the level. I don't know, maybe a secondary push. You know how I said things like the secondary push back down below. And towards the end of the year, just keep coming down. As I've said, I think long-term predictions are sort of stupid. We don't know what the Federal Reserve is going to do. We don't know if they're going to hike. We don't know how much they're going to taper or what they're going to do with the balance sheet. So I think long-term predictions are sort of stupid. All I know is that when I see big profits in front of my face, I typically lock them in. And I'm sure that's something that a lot of people are regretful about. I think a lot of the people who follow me, again, not to put myself on a pedestal, but I feel like a lot of the people who followed me definitely took some profits because I preached it every fucking week. Every week I talked about taking profits and locking it in. And, we've had so many talks about putting some money aside and, the good times don't last forever. And, hopefully that helps some people. All right. Move into AVAX. AVAX again, here's just a cleaner view of the range. Downtrend line, it had broken. It was a fake out of the downtrend. Literally what I had expected to happen, except it didn't go to the price that I wanted. But I said it. I think I said it in my last video, or I said it on a tweet, or I said it somewhere. I said it's going to do a fake out of the trend line, get everyone bullish, and then it's going to dump. And so far, that's what we've had. But really, again, just as I see Bitcoin going towards, and here's where you have a problem. You don't want to get too bullish on everything because then you end up getting fucked being on multiple positions, right? But just how I have Bitcoin taking out this lick and headed towards here, and I have how I have ETH headed towards here, I also have AVAX headed towards here, okay? So now you have all these different positions that you're sort of bullish on, at least thought process wise, and what you feel like should happen and what your gut is saying, but that doesn't mean you get long on 3 different coins and have 3R worth of risk. What I would do in that situation is I would chop up the risk and I'd say, okay, a third risk here, a third risk here, and a third risk here, okay? I know that'll be helpful to some, because when I was talking about when I initially posted the AVAX trade, I didn't say I was long, but I didn't say I was long because we were already long on Bitcoin. And then I chopped half my Bitcoin long and I put it into AVAX, and, probably just should have said that. Realistically, I don't need to say anything, but, people do sponsor these videos, and I'm thankful for that. And in turn, I provide this free education. Shout out to Prime XBT at the bottom. Try out my links, get a deposit bonus. Okay. Let's see if we see anything else. BNB's been trading pretty clearly for a bit. You could see just the great respect to the level. I've moved BNB up on my sort of tier list of price action here, so to say. It changes. Okay, it's not always like this, but just look. You had prior resistance. It flips to support perfectly. You get the 2018 or whatever Bitcoin bouncing ball. It's pretty identical. If you remember how Bitcoin looked, and it chops at the end here, and then you get a breakdown, and look at that perfect retest right there. Boom, breaks down. A little bit of consolidation below the level. Comes back, breaks back above resistance, right? Look at these closes, perfect. Breaks back above, retest, there's an easy long. So, I've been watching BNB. Don't really have anything to say about it right now. That was just a quick fucking hindsight, whatever. But just to show that it's been trading pretty cleanly. FTM, don't have much to say about it. I'm watching for the, if there's an eventual breakdown, I watch 1.3, 1.4, somewhere around here. If it breaks out of this trend line, I don't even know yet. Maybe 2.6, 2.7. I don't think so, though. I think this is sort of bounce balling too, and I think eventually it will go down. Atom, continue to watch this swing low that never gets ran. Bids never get filled. I don't know. Maybe they're just never going to get filled. But this is the liquidity I'm watching. No blind bids here, really. I used to have blind bids, but now I'm getting a little weird about it. And what I think could happen is maybe just slight deviation, reclaim. That would probably be my long right there, something like that, and then it breaks. Probably doesn't break and go too far, right? It probably just goes to like here, something like this. Okay, so you get deviation, you take your tool, you get long, you target here, you put your stop below the low or something, or make sure it's not, try to think that, try to look at other things and say, okay, ES looks like it's bouncing good here, Bitcoin looks like it's strong here, okay, this low's already in, all right, let me get in here, there's a quality 4 to 5 risk reward play. All right, simple as that. Not really going to go through the rest of these. Just going to rip through these real quick, see if there's anything interesting to me. Man, like some of these stocks are just taking absolute beating. If Apple ever comes down to this trend line, I'm very interested. I'm potentially also interested what it does with this swing. It's been something I've been watching for a while, and yet it doesn't take out this swing. It gets close to it, which makes me also think that, overall markets should be bullish at some point, maybe this right here. And this is what I'm saying, is that markets are pretty connected right now. Pretend Apple comes down to here. This is probably Bitcoin hitting 39K or hitting 38.7K or whatever the number is. 38.7. Confluent with Apple hitting, low 160s, and then you get that bounce and it takes out this lick, it deviates for a bit. This is your Bitcoin run. Bitcoin does this, it comes up, and maybe it starts running. Maybe it doesn't get just to here, but just yet. But then maybe, something changes and we dip because, it's Apple and it reclaims, and then maybe that is your final Bitcoin move, and Sorry to break it to you, but that's my ultimate thought. Okay. Again, I'm trying to provide thought process here because that was the most asked question this week, is thought process and understanding why things are moving as they do and how I predict that prices are going to move in certain fashions. Okay, so that's what I'm watching. Yeah, Apple, there's this trend line, there's this lick. I'm keeping an eye on all that. Nothing here. I'm just going to breeze through these. I mean, this would be an interesting deviation if it did something like that. That'd be interesting. Nothing here. This most of this stuff is a whole lot of nothing. I think I had eyes on something. PayPal, yeah, maybe PayPal. I mean, this is a knife and a half we're talking here. But we can see the origin of this major up move. We can see previous resistance right here. Resistance potentially flipped to support. Test of this level could be a quick bounce potentially. Maybe not too high. Maybe just something like this and right back into this area right here. Boom, look at that. Perfect. Could be a quick bounce. If you haven't seen my options video, look at the options video, 0 days or weeklies. There could be a good opportunity there for a quick bounce. You take profit very quickly, but you could get a 5 or a 10x out of that depending on how the bounce is and what the expiry is. If it's a weekly or a 0 day. Had talked about that with Tesla last time when Tesla was coming down. Tesla had previous resistance area right here. Also, origin of up move resistance. Look at that perfect tap. If you played on very low time frame, you got a perfect tap. Same day close. I think you scored like a 7x or something. Okay. So we've seen these before. Check out my options video if you need more understanding on that. And I think that's about it. We can talk about some trading psychology stuff. Let's do that. All right, so we're here on the feed. We'll just start with what's lately. Use the risk reward tool to set up your trade. Leave it on the chart until the trade is complete. For this is really, it's just going to help people who are often closing when they shouldn't be. If your setup is still valid. Now, don't get me wrong, there will be times where, for me specifically, when I start a trade, I usually think, okay, I want it to sort of play out within this time frame, right? If you're on a 5-minute chart, right, you're not expecting necessarily your trade to play out over a couple days. You're probably expecting it to play out over a couple hours, maybe a day maximum. So if the trade is changing due to your expectations, it's okay to close it early. But it's not okay to close it early just because you're antsy about it, right? That's not okay. So leaving the risk reward tool up on the chart will, make you think, okay, I had planned this out and I was confident about this. What changed? Is it actually something in the price action that has changed, or is it just your emotion and your anxiety that's causing it to change? Okay, let's scroll. Oh yeah, this was a good tweet, although it's really not much. This would just make me rant, but yeah, fuck all the big accounts that don't do shit but tweet stupid generic garbage. End the year fucking target grifters. None of them know how to trade whatsoever. All they do is take $200 paid promos. Only I don't want to say only good big accounts because I'm obviously going to miss people. But if you're looking for other accounts, look at Trader SZ, look at XO, look at Crypto Cred, look at Rec Proof, look at Ninja Scalp. Some of those guys do some really good price action work. Watch their videos. Stay away from any of these fucking people who are doing scam ass daily hopium saying, oh, Bitcoin do 100,000 today, right? Yeah, no. Okay. What else? Oh yeah, staying focused on current trading pairs and plans. This was a good one. Oftentimes you're going to see things on crypto Twitter that are going to distract your attention from what you're currently doing. I have all these plans, right? I have plans for Bitcoin. I have plans for some of these stocks we talked about. I have planned for some of these altcoins. And this is just, a brief overview of the stuff that I'm looking at. It's not necessarily everything I'm looking at. And things obviously develop as time goes on, and that's usually what I post to Twitter in between these videos. But point being is, just because something else is pumping, or just because there's another trade that other people are looking at, doesn't necessarily mean that you should be looking at it. Especially when you see that thing being shilled a lot, and then you go on, Dex Screener or whatever, and you look it up, and oh yeah, it's only up 10x this month. It's currently pushing new all-time highs. Of course, everyone's euphoric about it on the fucking TL, right? Like, of course. So that for me goes into the instant mute. I just mute the word and I keep it moving on my own day and my own plans. Yeah, it's about that. Oh yeah, the amount of charts. Yeah, the amount of charts on your watch list, it should be reflective to your ability. I can only monitor so many charts and be ready to execute on so many charts. I probably still have too many, to be frank. And these lists have been trimmed down and trimmed down and trimmed down. All I ever do is trim them down, and I still feel like I probably can't really do all these justice. So, yeah, just keep your list pretty small. Look for volatile coins. Always keep an eye on BTC ETH. In my opinion, always keep an eye on S&P 500. You keep an eye on some of these main stocks like Apple and Tesla. They're pretty big. Keep maybe not so much Tesla, really Apple and ES are fine. Keep an eye on the big stuff, and then you can also use that to help you with the little stuff, as I sort of explained throughout this video and how I figured out a lot of these trades. Okay, I leaned a lot on not only the single chart, but all the charts combined. Okay. All right, we'll go off the top for the rest. What's on my mind? Let's think. Yeah, I mean, there's got to come to a point. If you look at my pin posts, I always say reduce size and trade more. Don't cancel the practice that you need. It seems to be a common message that I get. And it's just like people are just always closing early, not following through with their plans, adjusting their plans last second. I got to the point, in the past where I said, look, I'd rather fucking stop out than doubt myself, because this is really a game of confidence, and you need to be able to not stubbornly stick to your guns and stay in trades, because sometimes you need to cut quick and understand when you're wrong, but you don't want to, like I said, you don't want to close early just off of being anxious or emotion or something of that nature. That's just not good. So bring that risk down to the point where you're not that concerned about the risk. I don't care if that's fucking $20 or if you're a whale and you got to go down from 100K risk a trade to 20K risk a trade, or whatever your number is. I don't care what your number is. All that I care about is that you let your trades play out as you expect them to. And if they start to not play as expected, it's okay to close early. But do not close early if they're still valid, and if it's not, if there's not reason to. If it's purely an emotional close, then you're doing it wrong. Okay, so yeah, like I said, at some point I got there and I said, look, I'd rather fucking stop out than close this early. I was very confident about this earlier. Why am I not confident about it now? You got to have those talks with yourself. You got to figure it out. Okay. What else? Trading psychology wise, I think that's a huge one for people. It's just being consistency. Keeping track of your progress is great for some people. I don't personally keep a very detailed journal, but I would never look down upon people who do. I think some people need that. Me personally, I just keep track of my account. If the balance is going up, I pretty much know I'm doing good. If the balance is going down, I know something's off. And you know already, right? You already know if you lost 2 trades in a row, or if you lost 3 in a row, or if you've been on a ripper and you've been streaking. Lately, I've been doing pretty well. I think I've maybe 1 or 2 losses out of 5 or 6 winners or something. So that's good for me. I'm happy with that, and I'm trying to stay in sync and stay in the zone and hit it while it's hot, so to say. That's a big thing, Make sure you're hitting it while it's hot. If you're in the zone, keep it moving. Yeah, I think that's good. This was a longer video than usual, and I think we talked about a good amount of things. If there's anything specific that you want addressed, feel free to leave it in the comments on YouTube or in the Twitter comments. Wherever is great. Likes and retweets are always very helpful on the video. I thank you all for tuning in. Always glad to have you. Hopefully I can be of help. And hopefully, keep it real, right? That's something that we're seeing less and less of lately as CT divides into this whole crazy fucking, Web3 side versus, then you got the NFTs over here, and then you got the, your actual traders over here. It's really just getting very separated, and everyone's, I guess, just digging into their own niche, and I suppose that's how crypto is sort of moving right now. But yeah, I'll be staying in the sort of charting and trading area, and that's what I enjoy, and I also think that is what is guaranteed not a fad, and I can't say that about anything else, because I know that you can look at charts and you can go back and see charts from the fucking early 1900s. So trading is always going to be around. It's always going to be a good skill to have and learn and improve on. And I can't say the same thing about anything else. Maybe they'll do well. Maybe they won't. Who knows? But they haven't, they have not been time tested, so to say. And I'm not really going to waste my time with that. As always, thank you very much. Shout out to Prime XBT. And I will see you guys next week. Peace out.